So before we get into this video, if you guys want to check out my feature film Pace a D, you can. It's on Amazon right now. You can also get the Blu-ray. Check out our link tree down below for our Gumroad, all of our short films. Pay what you want. It helps us make more projects. Got some exciting stuff coming. You read the title right. There was a mishap in the theater when we seen the Phoenician Scheme. So I'll get into that first, and then I'll get into sort of my thoughts on the film. But yeah, so what happened was me and my buddy, we got in, we sat down, and there were two people behind us. And when the movie started, they started talking, and it was two older women. They were talking, but they were talking like really loud, like they were having a full-blown conversation right in the middle of the film. And somebody up front was basically, he yelled, "Be quiet." Somebody else yelled, "Be quiet." The dude yelled, "Be quiet" again. They still kept having their conversation, like they didn't stop. So then the guy up front got up and literally charged towards them and said, "Shut the up. People paid for this movie and they want to watch it." They still didn't stop. I turned around. It was two older ladies. They were pretty old, and I felt kind of bad for them. But then at the same time, we are kind of watching a movie. And then the manager came in, and then they started talking again. And then the manager told them to be quiet. And then they kind of talked throughout the film even more, but it was very sparse. I think people just gave up. But the Phoenician Scheme, the new Wes Anderson film. Let's see what it's about. Wealthy businessman, I'm going to say Corda, appoints his only daughter, a nun, as sole heir to his estate. As Corda embarks on a new enterprise, they soon become the target of a scheming tycoons, foreign terrorists, and determined assassins. It's a little bit more tame than that. I mean, I can comfortably say it is more tame than that. But it's Wes Anderson. And it's got an all-star cast. I mean, it's got Benicio del Toro, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Cera, which is kind of crazy. He's not been in a Wes Anderson film until now. Tom Hanks, Bill Murray. Bill Murray's credit in this. Oh my gosh, I don't want to spoil it, but just look it up. It's got Willem Dafoe, Benedict Cumberbatch, Bryan Cranston, and Mia Threppleton, which I have not seen her in anything. This is the first thing that I've seen her in. I thought that she was phenomenal. But yeah, it's got an all-star cast. Most of Wes Anderson's films do. But I have been hearing people say that this is the most Wes Anderson-y film that Wes Anderson has made. It also has Charlotte Gainsborough in it, which I've not seen her in a hot minute, I feel. Jeffrey White, Riz Ahmed, Rupert Friend. Oh my gosh, there's just so many people that are in it. F. Murray Abraham. That's a big one. But yeah, I've been hearing talk that this is Wes Anderson's most Wes Anderson film to date. And I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think that I agree with that. I think that, I think The French Dispatch is probably the most Wes Anderson that you can get, personally speaking. And the interesting thing about The French Dispatch, let me check real quick. Let me see if this is confirmed. I don't know if this is confirmed. Hang on, I need to look it up. I don't know why I'm saying hang on, because I'm just going to end up cutting all of it. Okay, so it seems maybe partially some of it is, but I think The French Dispatch, a lot of it is set in the 70s, 60s. Well, that was one thing that I noticed is the Phoenician Scheme is set in the 50s, and then Asteroid City is set in the 50s, and then I think The French Dispatch, if I'm not mistaken, some of it was set in the 50s. So, and then you got the Grand Budapest Hotel. So it's like Wes Anderson's films are really set in this, I don't want to say, primarily, but I mean, Wes Anderson has his kinks. He has his certain type of style that he goes for. And I want to say this, and I don't know, people would probably disagree with me, but you look at directors when they first start out, especially directors that are trying to find their style. Like if you look at someone like Tarantino, for instance, I would say his first three films are very, it feels very Tarantino, but I mean, come on, from Kill Bill all the way up until Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you could definitely tell it was a Tarantino film. Just like Lars von Trier, I would even argue all the way up until Breaking the Waves, and then everything else after that, took on that dogma, movement. And then you got, of course, I would even say, Paul Thomas Anderson, the same as, Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and then Punch Drunk Love throughout, kind of had that feeling to it. I really can't explain it. Just like Kubrick, you look at everything up until 2001, and then everything kind of had I would even say Doctor Strangelove really up. I mean, Doctor Strangelove was in black and white, but I mean, you look at his filmography, and then it got to a point to where, you know, he definitely went in all in on his style. Casper Noé has always been that way. But Wes Anderson, I've noticed his first 3 films, I would say, like, you know, you got Bottle Rocket, which is completely different than anything that he's done, but you can sort of, you know, it still kind of feels like Wes Anderson. Then you got Rushmore, which, you know, it feels like a normal film. I mean, of course, you know, it's getting there like a Wes Anderson film. And then you got the Royal Tenenbaums, which I would say is when he went off the deep end, which I don't want to say he went off the deep end because it's just his style. But I will say, Wes Anderson's style is very much so Wes Anderson's style. And I've been hearing complaints, people saying that, you know, they want him to do something different. They want him to kind of get out of his comfort zone. And look, I would agree with that. But the thing is, Wes Anderson is the only person that's making Wes Anderson-y type films. Like, if somebody else did a Wes Anderson type film, they would just be called a copycat. I mean, as they should. But Wes Anderson is genuinely the only person that's making these types of films. So quite frankly, I don't think I want to see him do anything different. If anything, I want him to get even more Wes Anderson. And I know that it really does seem like there's 2 sides of the camp. There's people that want him to go full Wes Anderson, and there's people that want him to do something different. I just don't want him to do anything different because, like I said, I mean, this is the only time we're going to get Wes Anderson type films. Like, if I want to watch just a filmmaker be a filmmaker, I'll go watch a filmmaker. I watch Wes Anderson because he's Wes Anderson. That's the reason why I love his films so much. Went on that way too long before we actually started talking into the film. So look, yeah, sorry, it's a long video. But what did I think of the Phoenician Scheme? I actually really liked it. I would probably say that it's my favorite film of the year so far, except for 2,000 meters to Andrivka. That's going to be a hard one to beat. You know, when it comes to 2,000 meters to Andrivka, I am probably going to push that aside a little bit just because it's kind of a hard film to beat. I mean, it's a documentary, and you know, I think it's almost in its own category, if I'm being honest. But the Phoenician Scheme was great. Benicio del Toro did fantastic. Everybody else did great. Michael Cera was awesome. Like I said, Mia Threppleton, she did great as well. It is just an enjoyable film. It's an enjoyable film to watch. It looks pretty. If you've seen a Wes Anderson film, you know what you're getting yourself into. But I don't think that it's the most Wes Anderson-y film that I've seen. I think it is kind of... He breaks the mold a little bit compared to what he does. Like, I mean, you know, I feel like The French Dispatch was very much so Wes Anderson at kind of his peak. And then Asteroid City was very Wes Anderson. But then, of course, you know, it took, you know, its own liberties. But this film, it's like it's very Wes Anderson, but then it does these things with, like, these close-ups and such that kind of break it away, you know. And it's definitely him... I feel like he's still experimenting. He experiments with color. He experiments with infrared. He really does do a lot of different things in this. And look, Wes Anderson is just going to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, that's it. That's kind of like that's the dude. That's the guy. But also, I was genuinely intrigued with the overall story. And and basically, you know, like I said, I read the description. It's very tight. It's a very tight and contained film. It's very funny. Like, I was actually laughing watching the film. But I will say this. I do want Wes Anderson to keep going with his style, and I would love for him to just hit it full force, but I will say this. I do think that he should try different things with his style. There's something that happens within the first 5 minutes of this film that I will not spoil, but it happens, and it really did kind of shock me because it's very, like, I will say this. I would like to see Wes Anderson experiment with gore. I would love to see that. Honestly, if I had two dream Wes Anderson films, I would love to see a romantic epic, and I would love to see a horror mystery, like a haunted house horror mystery type of thing, like Knives Out or something. I think that would honestly be the perfect thing for him to do. The Phoenician Scheme, I enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favorite Wes Anderson films, just because I'm the type of person that enjoys more Wes Anderson being Wes Anderson. So, I mean, I would probably put it in my top 5. I mean, it's too soon to tell. I would like to do a rewatch for it. But again, you know, look, I don't want to be that guy that says, you know, like, give Wes Anderson some credit. I think these films, I can't imagine, are easy to make. I mean, even try to replicate them yourself. You know, he definitely has his own niche, and that's what I like about the guy. I don't know. I'm going to have people disagree with it. Look, I've been spicy these last couple of videos. Mission Impossible, and I forget there was another video that I got some pretty interesting reactions to. But look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm always going to be honest. So, I like the Phoenician Scheme, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Let me know what your favorite Wes Anderson film is down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.